Okay, so as we said, typically with WaterGuard we're going to use a Z channel at the bottom, but in this case we're not doing that. And I put our first panel up here, and I can see really coincidentally that the stud is going to line up with the joist, so that'll be just a little convenient. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put our adhesive on here, and I'm going to just put the adhesive in vertical stripes. Now keep in mind, you have, this is 1 part foam adhesive, and this is specifically made for foam, whereas our other foam is just expandable 1 part foam for filling gaps. So you don't want to get the two guns mixed up. So we'll put a stripe here, and I'm just going to go vertically because I'm not going to fill up our electric chases with foam, but I'm just going to go vertically so that if water leaks through the wall, the stripes of foam don't clog up the flow of the water running down to the WaterGuard. It's not really an issue in this home, but all right. So the first panel, we want to use a level and make sure that it's dead on, because all the other panels are going to follow this one. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is put a fastener. We're going to put 4 fasteners in each panel. Now, if you had a really bad condition of the wall where paint was flaking off and you had efflorescence, well, then the adhesive is not going to do very much. So you might want to put more fasteners, perhaps 6 per B2B panel. And where we're going to put these fasteners is we're going to come down about 16 inches from the top and put a fastener here and here. And then we don't want to put any fasteners right in the middle, because the panel will flex the most in the middle because the foam is 2 pieces. So if we put a fastener here, we could push the panel in, make it a little concave. So we're better off staying away from this parting line by about 1 foot. So we're going to put the other 2 fasteners down here, and that'll do it. So I'll do my lower fasteners first so that you know, it's convenient. I'm not up on a ladder trying to get the first fastener in without moving the panel. And I'm using these particular fasteners. However, we are manufacturing fasteners that would be absolutely ideal for this application, and they have an 1.25 inch head on them, and they are Christmas tree fasteners, so you just tap them in. These are a little different design, but we're using these at the moment. And that's it. Now, if you like, you can bond the 2 panels together by putting, without clogging up the horizontal electric chases, this will help to bond the panels together. Okay, this wall is pretty straight and it's being really cooperative and friendly to us. But if you had a wall that had some waves in it and you put the panel up and you see before you put the next panel on that there's some voids behind the panel, one thing that you can do to shim that panel out so there's not a wiggle in it is to add some foam in there to fill that gap before you put the next panel on. And for that, we like to use the 1-part gun foam. I mean, certainly the adhesive foam can help to bridge that gap as well, but this foam is made for filling spaces, and we use this needle on the green guns that we have. This needle can stick right into those small spaces, and we'll just show you how this comes out here. We'll just stick it back there and fill that space. What you may want to do, if you know there's a little concave to the wall, is put some foam on the wall beforehand and fill in those spaces behind the panel before you actually put the panel up. So it's just a little trick. Hopefully you don't have to do that too much. Again, be sure not to fill up the electric chases and don't put any horizontal stripes of foam so that the water can drain down. You want to try to hold the can of foam vertically so that it doesn't blow all the propellant out and then the foam won't all come out of the can. Here's an example of a gap that we may want to shim with 1-part foam. We stick that needle in there and just fill her up. Okay, so to cut a panel vertically, you'd mark a line with a chalk line, and there's a couple of different ways of doing it. You can cut it with a PVC saw, of course, or the advantage of using the saw, even though it's only for foam and it seems like overkill, is that you have dust collection. Now, the saw blade doesn't cut all the way through the foam, so I don't have to worry about cutting my sawhorses. So I'm just going to run this along this. We have to cut 16 inches, which happens to fall right on this line. I mean, typically you'd have to make your own line, but in here, this case, we got lucky. Hold on, Chris. Now, in this case, I know that I shimmed the back of this panel with some 1-part foam, so I'm going to put a little foam here because obviously I won't be able to get to it. once I put the panel on. Again, the adhesive foam will help us here as well. Well, this is just a little extra, couple of dabs. And get it to stick. It's a little cold today. Okay. Now when we get our new fasteners, they're going to have an 1.25 inch head, so we'll be able to put a fastener right through the foam itself because it'll catch so much foam, and we'll be able to draw stuff in like this. But of course, we have another crack at getting the wall straight, and that's when we put our finish panels on, which will easily bridge stuff like this. When you think about it, drywall or our Everlast panel is made to span 16 inches. So to span a little gap like this is no problem at all. As long as overall the wall is straight, which it substantially is, as we checked it with the chalk line to begin with, so that our baseboard and our ceiling track is straight in the end. Okay, we're ready to put some Basement to Beautiful panels on the next wall here. And typically an electrician would not be running a wire in the horizontal chases around the corner. So we don't have to worry about connecting the chases around the corner. He'll just go up over the ceiling and can go down in another place. But I can feel, it's winter time now, and I can feel the cold. And obviously it's not an air leak through the foundation, but it's a convective loop from the foundation being cold. And I can feel how cold it is here compared to this. And 1 part foam can be used to fill gaps, and you know, if you have to cut around pipes and wires or embed little conduits by cutting channels in the back of the foam, you can, and just fill around it with 1 part foam. And this 1 part foam really makes a nice tight system and solves a lot of ills for you. Solves a lot of problems if you, of course I'm not going to clog up our water guard with it, but if you have any gaps or things you need to cut around, you can just fill it around it with 1 part foam. Now, adhesive foam, we never want to confuse the two. The adhesive foam, you can see, is a different consistency, and it's like glue. And after about 45 minutes, even if you did not use any fasteners, provided you held that foam to the wall for that time, you would not be able to get that foam off of that wall. So it's good stuff. And it costs the same as 1 part foam for the most part. About $9 a can or so.
Now, would you want to fill in this cavity with foam? Just
Probably not. No, I don't think so. Okay. Is it down all the way? I think it's going to go down.
nope, I went up. Just keep the lines even again. Keep it consistent.
Okay, first panel, check for level. We're good. I'm going to check for gaps here, Chris. So we'll take a look here, see if we have to fill any gaps. There's just about 1/8 of an inch gap, so I'll put a little foam in there.